Coming up on the Q30 Newscast, a look into a new police chief in Hamden and a partnership between Quinnipiac Occupational Therapy and the Whitney Rehab Center.
And a look at some new courses and course registration.
Plus a look at a haunted house just down the street.
All that and more coming up on the Q30 Newscast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Q30 Newscast. I'm Julia Barcello.
And I'm Evangeline Crossley. I'm so excited for tonight's show and my first time on desk. We have updates from Hamden to campus,
including a look at this warm weather we've been seeing this past week and a lot of national news. First, we have a look into Hamden. October 3rd, Hamden recognized the new police chief, Edward Reynolds. Reynolds is looking to work closer with the young adults in Hamden to educate and strengthen the community. Geneva Cunningham has more.
Hamden's new police chief, Edward Page Reynolds, is prioritizing the youth. Reynolds says the demographic of 16 to 26 are, quote, the years where if you're going to get in trouble, it's going to happen right there. Reynolds doesn't want to be a department that, quote, does nothing but enforce the laws upon young people, rather engage them in meaningful ways before the trouble starts.
Asking the right questions to our young people. What do they want to see? What type of activities would you be interested in partnering with police?
By targeting the younger generation, Reynolds hopes to, quote, connect, inspire, and redirect with conscious efforts like the investment in police-sponsored youth programs. Reynolds also plans to revisit the Police Explore program, which targets youth looking at a future career in law enforcement.
Begin programs early on with the youth that could have sustainable, impacts in the future. It's so critical that good role models, good policing role models engage youth.
Ultimately, he wants to partner with elementary, middle, and high schools to come up with innovative ideas to pique their interest.
Hamden Mayor Lauren Garrett recognized Reynolds' long history of community-based policing. Reynolds has over 30 years of experience in law enforcement, including 14 years at the New Haven Police Department, 2 years at the Maine Police Department, 6 years at the Arkansas Police Department, and another 6 years at HBCU Southern University at Shreveport in Louisiana.
He began his law enforcement career with the New Haven Police Department, serving as the lead homicide detective and hostage negotiator. There he supervised social services, mental health services, and law enforcement.
I know Chief Reynolds very well. We were on the police in New Haven together. I think is an excellent choice for the department. I think he's going to really bring a sort of poise and collaborative approach.
He has a distinguished career practicing criminal justice and law enforcement in urban, suburban, rural, and collegiate communities.
Constituents look forward to Reynolds making Hamden a safe and vibrant place to live in light of his recent efforts to connect with the younger generation. Reporting from the Hamden Police Department, Geneva Cunningham, Q30 News. The Quinnipiac Physician's Assistant Program has been put on an accreditation probation by the RPA after not meeting certain standards. The program was first accredited in 1985, becoming one of the biggest physician assistant programs in the state. The probation will not impact students in the program. The temporary status will allow the program to make improvements. They will be reevaluated in September of 2025.
This temporary accreditation status is not going to affect the ability of our students to complete the program. It's not going to require that they take any more classes to complete the program. It's not going to affect their degree completion or the degree that's awarded to them. And it's not going to affect their ability to seek licensure.
This upcoming Friday is first-year course registration for the spring 2024 semester. Registration opens at 7 a.m. on Friday morning and will remain open until midnight. On the day of registration, students can use the Register Now button to quickly add their class selections. Students who are unable to get into their desired courses can always apply to join through the waitlist through their advisor.
On the topic of courses, a new forensic science class, FS210, will provide students with the opportunity to dive into the fingerprinting analysis with hands-on learning. There are no prerequisites to the course, and it will count as an elective towards a forensic science major. The 3-credit course will be offered Mondays and Wednesdays from 6:30 to 7:45 p.m. in the spring of 2024.
Well, anyone who is interested in forensic science may be interested in taking it. It's going to be very hands-on. You'll be learning a lot about fingerprint analysis, how to do them, how they do them in a crime lab, but also how they have been used and misused. It will count as an elective towards the forensic science minor, but anyone can take it. It doesn't have any prerequisites, and If you're interested, you're welcome.
Earlier today, the School of Communications Public Relations program held a nationally broadcasted Zoom recertification event for both undergraduate and graduate levels. Members of the program attended in celebration of the certification. The Chair of Advising and Public Relations has more on the achievement.
We are absolutely thrilled to celebrate the certification of the Public Relations program at both levels, undergraduate and graduate, here at Quinnipiac. And we're also very excited and proud to continue to be the only public relations program certified in Connecticut.
8 occupational therapy students have begun working on the Legacy Project, a partnership with the Whitney Rehabilitation Care Center to foster connections across generations. Vanessa Blasi has more.
Quinnipiac's occupational therapy students are helping to save the memories of some local residents with dementia by creating legacy books. Over 100 years of memories are held within these pages, and it's all part of the Legacy Project.
We have a resident here who just turned 100 or 101 who participated last year in the program, and she doesn't leave anywhere without her book. Her book stays with her.
Each week, students come to centers like the Whitney Rehabilitation Care Center to visit their paired residents and ask them questions about their lives.
We asked a lot of questions about her family and what she enjoyed doing as a kid. And we also started to ask her questions about what she did for work, who her friends were.
These books are created by students to show each part of a resident's life and give them something that'll live beyond their memory.
We've had residents who progressed, and in a year's time, they can't even remember participating in that whole legacy project. So it makes the book that much more important to the resident and their family to help them. And we use it as a tool also when they're looking. They can remember when they see that picture. They may not remember the experience of putting it together, but they remember those photographs and that they're in it.
At the end of the 7 weeks, what may have just seemed like a trip down memory lane turns into this legacy book. Right now, students are over halfway through the program, and the books are almost done.
From the residents' perspective, I don't think that there's enough good things that can be said. I think just a personalized visit from a young person or any person can really go a long way.
And the students can see those effects too.
To have positive impacts on that people, it's just something that we'll be able to take with us throughout our rest of our education and into the rest of our lives.
Reporting for Q30 News, I'm Vanessa Blasi.
Now, Julia, I'm not the biggest fan of warm weather, and I had to break out the shorts this weekend. I wonder what we can expect for this week. Hopefully some northeast fall weather.
Ava, I have to disagree. I've been enjoying the warmth of the sun, but thankfully we have Beckett Calkins live from outside the studio with a 3-day forecast. Beckett, will I need to put away the summer clothes for the season?
You know, Julia, it's definitely time to put away the summer clothes. It's been a little chilly out today. Highs around 45 degrees right now. It's a little chilly on the quad, and then jumping to tomorrow, it's going to get slightly warmer, but in the morning it could be below freezing as the low point is at 27 on Thursday morning. And then Friday, the sun's going to come out again. It could get, mid 50s, high of 55, low of 33. So it's going to warm up as the week goes on, but a little chilly out. No need for the summer clothes anymore. That's all I have for the 3-day forecast. Stay tuned for after commercial break.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Meet the scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
As November turns the corner, so does election season. On November 7th, Hamden residents will cast their ballot for mayor, town clerk, and seats across the Legislative Council and the Board of Education. Polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Voters must be registered by 8 p.m. on Election Day. Students who are residents of Hamden are encouraged to register to vote for their district.
This election is super important because it's a local election. Local government controls our schools, our roads, fire and police, and what the school can do here in Hamden.
Now, there has been a lot going on in the world of politics, and I'm curious to get this week's recap.
So am I. I heard former President Trump has a gag order filed against him. Thankfully, we have Gage Kilborn live in studio with an update. Gage?
Yeah, thanks guys. We'll jump right into our first story where the federal judge, Tanya Chutkan, just reinstated Trump's gag order. The gag order prevents Trump from publicly targeting court personnel, potential witnesses, or the special counsel's team. Chutkan issued the order earlier this month after prosecutors claimed that the former president would intimidate witnesses or encourage harm against prosecutors. Trump quickly appealed, but Chutkan froze the order on October 20th as special counsel Jack Smith's team and Trump's attorneys litigated whether it should be paused during the appeal process. President Joe Biden signed an executive order on Monday as a safeguard for any threats directed towards artificial intelligence. The order will mandate AI companies to conduct safe tests on their products and release their information with the federal government. If a safety assessment returns with some concerning results, the federal government has the right to overpower the tech companies. The White House stated, quote, "These measures will ensure AI systems are safe, secure, and trustworthy before companies make them public," end quote. The order will also allow a wide variety of federal power to implement changes in their use as well. The newly elected House Speaker Mike Johnson just released a $14.3 billion aid package for Israel. The plan caused nothing but harm for the House as President Biden's party was completely against this bill. The Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is one of the biggest voices against the bill, which will probably make it unlikely to pass through the Senate. The 13-page document represents the first piece of legislation that Johnson has established as Speaker of the House. However, not every Republican is in support of this bill, as Kentucky House Representative Thomas Massey believes that the government cannot afford it. That is all I have in politics. I'll send it back to you guys at the desk.
Families in the Middle East are fighting for their lives. Entering the fourth week of the war, over 1,400 Israeli lives have been lost, and Palestinians on the Gaza Strip have seen more than 8,000 deaths.
Early this afternoon, Israel struck an apartment building in a refugee camp near Gaza City. This is the first time foreign passport holders have been allowed to leave territory since the start of the war. Dozens of people with foreign passports entered the Rafah crossing from Gaza to Egypt.
Earlier this month, President Biden asked Congress to pass a $106 billion bill, which includes aid for Israel, Ukraine, U.S. border security, and humanitarian assistance. U.S. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson is looking to separate this bill. The U.S. is working to vote on an Israel aid package later this week. Johnson hopes to have the bill on the floor on Thursday. The $14.8 billion bill will cut into President Biden's allocated money towards the IRS. In a statement, Johnson told Fox News, quote, "We are going to move a standalone Israel funding bill this week. In the House, I know our Republican colleagues in the Senate have a similar measure."
The growing tensions have led to national security concerns. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas told lawmakers Thursday that the U.S. is in a, quote, heightened threat environment. Mayorkas said the Biden administration is taking measures to assist communities and law enforcement by providing intelligence and information.
Universities across the country have been seeing an endless number of protests demonstrating contrasting beliefs. However, Quinnipiac has been pretty quiet.
We spoke with Quinnipiac University Rabbi Rena about the effects of the war.
I think it's the nature of the school. You know, the school's been around in one form or fashion since 1929, and I would say it's both one of its best qualities and it's one of its hardest challenges. I just think for some reason, whatever it is, that's the kind of student it attracts.
Now we have our second commercial break of the night. Coming up, we're coming back to America with some national news and a look at the rampage shooting in Maine last week. And Beckett Calkins is back with a full 7-day forecast and temperatures across the state. Stay tuned.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Jules, spot me on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Welcome back. Now I'm still curious about the future forecast.
So am I, Ava. I wonder if we will start to see some cooler temperatures. Beckett, what can we expect for this weekend?
We already touched on the last 3 days of this week, but then heading into the weekend, the temperatures are actually going to increase. Even though the clouds are coming out, it's going to be a little below 60 as a high on Saturday and Sunday. Before pivoting to Monday and Tuesday, temperatures are going to creep back up into 60-degree weather with the lows around the low 40s, upper 40s on Tuesday. Now taking a look at temperatures around the state, they're pretty even across the board with highs of about 48, 49 degrees in Hartford, New Haven, and New London and Norwich. And then a little colder in, northern Connecticut and around Torrington, about 45 degrees with lows of around 25 to 30 degrees. So a little chilly on the low side, but it should heat up as the week goes on. That's all I have for weather tonight. Back to you guys on the desk.
Thanks, Beckett. In the spirit of Halloween, Handprints for Sunshine hosted a Halloween party last night where cupcakes were decorated and care kits were made. These care kits were donated to the Ronald McDonald House for children suffering from various illnesses. Students were thankful for the opportunity to support such a great cause.
Yes, Ava, this was a special way to celebrate Halloween while supporting a good cause. Now, it's the first of the month, which means it's the first day of Indigenous People Month. Wayne Jersey, the Vice President for Equity and Inclusion, said in a Quinnipiac Today article, quote, "By recognizing and celebrating the contributions of Indigenous people, Quinnipiac promotes an atmosphere of cultural appreciation, awareness, and inclusivity."
It's time for some national news. I hear the United Auto Workers may have reached an agreement. Anthony Rossi is here in studio. Anthony, what can you tell us?
Thank you, Julia and Evangeline. Let's get right into this week's national news. 2 people on 2 separate college campuses have died due to shootings within the last 3 days. On Saturday, 18-year-old Kevin Rodriguez was shot and killed by a 19-year-old on the campus of Worcester State University in Massachusetts. Another Massachusetts state school was affected by gun violence earlier this morning. A Salem State University basketball player was also shot and killed on their campus. There are currently no identified suspects yet for the player's murder, but he was identified as Carl Henson's Billard, and local authorities have started an intense search for anything they can find. Both campuses were set into lockdown almost immediately, and it is still unclear when they will open back up to the public. Governors and political leaders in the states are starting to press colleges to take more steps to crack down on anti-Semitic surge due to the Israel-Hamas war. On Monday, Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, vowed to protect Jewish students from anti-Semitism and online threats at Cornell University. The governor's visit to the Ithaca campus comes after the Anti-Defamation League reported a nearly 400% increase in anti-Semitic incidents since the war in the Middle East has begun. In other news, General Motors and the United Auto Workers Union have come to a tentative agreement that could bring an end to the ongoing auto workers' strike. The strike, which began several weeks ago, has caused production delays affecting both General Motors and its employees. Thousands of auto workers across the country have been on strike, demanding better pay, working conditions, and job security. The tentative agreement marks a potential turning point in the negotiations, while the specific terms of the agreement are not fully disclosed yet. Julian, Evangeline, that's all I have for national news this week. Let's send it back to you guys at the desk.
Staying on national news, last Wednesday, a mass shooting left 18 people dead in Lewiston, Maine. Q30's Keenan Mills is here to give us an update on the investigation after police found suspect Robert Card dead. Keenan?
It has been a week since Maine saw their biggest mass shooting in the state's history. After the shootings, it was a scary few days for the city of Lewiston and the state of Maine as a whole. The Friday after the tragedy, officials found Robert Card's body 10 miles from the community of Lewiston. Allegedly dead from a self-inflicted gun wound, the finding of the body ended a 2-day manhunt throughout southern Maine. The 18 victims ranged from 14 years of age to 74. They came from different backgrounds, including fathers, 3 members of Lewiston's deaf community, and a boy who was bowling with his dad. The community, although still mourning, has come together and received support from all over the nation.
And it really warms my heart that people that I haven't talked to in a couple months, are always going to be there for me and for the people of Maine.
Lewiston, the second biggest city in Maine, went into a complete lockdown. Nearby Portland closed schools and malls during the manhunt. Over the weekend, the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team hosted the Maine Black Bears for a series of 2 games. There were moments of silence before the games in honor of the victims. After the death of Card, Lewiston can now mourn in peace and come back together as the community heals. Reporting for Q30 News, I'm Keenan Mills.
Thank you, Keenan. Our thoughts and prayers are sent to those suffering from these horrific attacks. With that, it is time for our last break of the night. After the break, we have more on a new addition for students in the Arnold Bernhard Library.
And thankfully, Zach Stockinger has all things Quinnipiac athletics.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
The Arnold Bernhard Library has seen some changes. This year, the student government has added both individual and group study pods on the second floor. Cindy Weimer has more.
Getting work done in a distracting public setting should no longer be an issue, as Quinnipiac University has now provided students with access to an innovative and unique environment to help stay focused on the go. Study pods are the small glass chambers that are the new additions to the 2023 through 24 school year and reside on the second floor of the Arnold Bernhard Library on the Mount Carmel campus. There are 2 study pods located within the library, giving students the opportunity to have complete isolation from outside noise in a compact room within the building. These pods did not appear out of thin air, as they were a concept gifted to the university last year by SGA as a part of their capital expenditure. Q30 even spoke to a current member of SGA who was part of the collective decision to implement the study pods within the library.
We'll send out a survey to the students, get that data, we'll curate that list, break it down, and we'll present it to the general board. The general board will then, review, be like, yeah, that's good to go. And then we get it sent out to upper administration once a student gov is like, yep, we like this, we support it, that is what the students want.
The study pods were also added in hopes to attract more students to the second floor of the library and increase study space to make the building more versatile.
But it's a great place to have a one-on-one meeting, a one-on-one interview, whatever it was, if you just need to get away from all the stimulus up in that second floor of the library. And then also you'll have outlets, desks, chairs, just a good space to have meetings in.
Students do not need to reserve the study pods in order to use them, as they are open for anyone to enter when empty. So if you're looking to do anything from cracking down on a homework assignment to finishing a class project, check out the study pods located in the library. Coming to you from the Arnold Bernard Library on main campus, Sydney Weimer, Q30 News.
It's time for our weekly sports update. Now, Julia, I don't know about you, but I definitely need this. I am not up to date with the sports world.
That is for sure. Sports at Quinnipiac never ends. Good thing Zach Stokinger is here with all we need to know. Zach, take it away.
Thank you, guys. The campus was buzzing with the scent of Halloween in the air, and the Bobcats seemed to enjoy the fall weather. The women's cross-country team secured their second consecutive MAC title on Sunday in Montgomery, New York. This was the Bobcats' third all-time MAC championship win. The Bobcats had 5 of their point finishers place in the top 10. Junior Corinne Bailey secured a podium for the Bobcats as she placed 3rd overall. The Bobcats will now shift their attention toward the NCAA Regionals on November 15th in the Bronx. Now shifting to the hardwood, as volleyball was also in action on Sunday to take on the Fairfield Stags. The match was crucial to both teams as the winner would take sole control over first place in the MAC with just about 2 weeks left in conference play. The Bobcats also came into this game looking for some revenge on Fairfield as the team has had a regular season losing streak against the Stags for the past 2 years. With their win on Sunday, the Bobcats improved to 6-7, 12-2 in the MAC on the year, which is a career high for the Kyle Robinson era. The Bobcats look ahead to Saturday as they will take on the Marist Red Foxes at Brett Concourt. We will now take the shuttle up to the M&T Bank Arena as the men's hockey team was in action this past weekend. The men's ice hockey team fared a little better as they would split the weekend series against the Maine Black Bears. The Bobcats would lose 2-1 on Friday, but would come out back on Saturday and win 4-1. The men's team drops from number 5 to number 8 in the most recent USCHO poll. The Bobcats will shift their focus this weekend as they start ECAC play on the road against Dartmouth and Harvard. Well, that's all I have. Back to you guys at the desk.
A local home welcomed the community to celebrate Halloween last night. Eric Andrewson of 1801 Whitney Avenue transformed his backyard into a haunted house and aims to support the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Connecticut. Joe Monty took the throw for us.
Tuesday, October 31st was Halloween night, and people of all ages were dressed in their costumes going door to door looking for sweets.
You guys ready for some candy? Yeah!
In comparison to other places in Hamden, Connecticut, it was a fun night to be on Whitney Avenue. Aside from the abundance of candy to be found in the neighborhood, trick-or-treaters had something else to look forward to.
I'm at 1801 Whitney Ave in Hamden, where a local resident has turned his house into a haunted house for people in the area to enjoy this Halloween night.
That man's name is Eric Andrewson, and he's created this house of horror every Halloween for the last 6 years. The haunted house gets a lot of attention from the public, and creating a safe environment for a large number of people is important. In collaboration with the Hamden Police and a private security firm, safety at the haunted house is ensured.
The security firm itself comprises of former law enforcement, former military. I was in the military. We're working hand in hand with the Hamden Police Department.
For years, locals have come to this house to celebrate the festivities, and they say it never gets old. Some people wait in line for nearly an hour, but that's because it's become a tradition in this neighborhood, with new people joining each Halloween.
It's worth the wait. Like, we always, even though it's a quick in and out, like, it's always worth the experience. We always have a great time. Decorate it very, very well. Even from the outside, like, it's perfect replication of what's on the inside. Like, it's not it's not underwhelming at all.
Admission is free, but anyone is welcome to make a donation. All of the proceeds are given to an organization, Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Connecticut, which partners with volunteers to create good mentors for Connecticut children. In a statement, Andrewson said, "It's about bringing the community together and to be able to help a worthy cause. Big Brothers, Big Sisters makes it that much better. The joy, smiles, and thank yous are so good to see and hear. We raised $894 this year. That's a record. Not only is the haunted house fun, but it makes a lasting difference in the Hamden community."
A lot of people are excited this Halloween night to get spooky. The lines are growing long, and I'm starting to get a little scared. So reporting in Hamden for Q30 News, I'm Joe Monty. Whoa!
And as it hits 10 p.m., unfortunately, that is all the time we have for tonight's episode.
Thank you for watching this edition of the Q30 Newscast. To stay up to date on all of our content, follow us on social media at Q30TV. Also visit us on our website, q30tv.com. From the producers and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Julia Barcello, and alongside me is Evangeline Crossley. This has been the Q30 Newscast. Good night, Bobcats.